Hello, everybody. Welcome to Overall Adventures. My name is Tina. Thank you so much for being here. I have something really, really special to share with you today that just kind of fell into my lap. And I think I might have stumbled upon a new, old way of journaling. I know so many of us here who like to journal try to capture the moments of the seasons, from the colors of spring and this kind of vibrant new life to the deep greens of summer, and the way the seasons really make us feel and how the seasons impact us. And I'm just struck by how we can kind of move through nature and include nature more in our journals. And specifically, I've been on this hunt for some time on how to merge my writing with the beauty of the world around me in this kind of coming winter. So I want to introduce you something that I found. It's called The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden. My dear friend Victoria gave me this. She had found it at the thrift store. Someone she had, chatted with the woman at the counter. Oh, I lost my bookmark there. You'll see it later in the video. But this is an incredible book. So it's written in 1906 by this woman, Edith Holden. She's the daughter of a paint maker, actually. And this journal she did not intend to publish it by any means. But I want to share it because I think this is an incredible inspiration for all of us, and for those of us who love to journal. So the first part you're going to notice, it starts off with January. And she kind of gives the history of the name January, or where that name comes from, and then she gives some mottos about January, and then a picture. Doesn't this remind you of like a bullet journal spread? I know some people kind of for each month do kind of a cover page almost. And this to me just is like original bullet journaling as to start. But here's where it gets kind of interesting. So the next page, she puts two poems, Coleridge and from two different poets, and both have to do with winter and the month of January. But here's what gets me, okay? So Edith, this is the winter of 1906, and here she starts January 1st, New Year's Day, bright and cold with a hard frost, great gale of wind, and each day it's really simple. She simply just describes on her, I guess she goes on nature walks every day or is somehow involved with nature, and writes down simply her observations from nature. That is it, okay? It's about not just the weather, but it's about her observations of the trees and the flowers and birds and the air and the temperature, and it's really just a log of nature and her specific town in England. And then you can see she continues to mix poetry with her own words. The poetry is not her own. Most of it comes from, classic poets like Chaucer and Burns, Wordsworth, and she finds poetry that specifically matches with that season or with that month, or even sometimes remarkably with the plant that she is talking about. When I stumbled upon this, when my friend Victoria gave this to me, I don't know, as a journaler, I was shocked, honestly, really shocked just at this beauty and this simplicity of this form of journaling. And the more that I read her journal, the more that it struck me as just oddly delightful and beautiful to know absolutely nothing about Edith herself. So you read this and you get this incredible overview of what this one tiny town was like through a whole season of life. But meanwhile, in that whole year or season, you don't really know anything about Edith herself. And I think it's just beautiful and strange and delightful that we could go through a whole year. And I even looked up, her birthday, I think, was September 27th. I go back to September 27 in her journal, and she doesn't even mention herself. She mentions nobody that she's with. This particular section here at the back of this book, she's listing indigenous plants. Oh, there goes my bookmark. She's listing indigenous plants with their Latin root names, as well as birds in her local area with their species name. It's just stunning. And I'm saying like, oh, I found a new way to journal. Obviously, this is from 1906, so it's not really a new way to journal, but it's new to me, and it's definitely new for what I've seen in terms of the journaling community. I know the nature journaling community is extremely active, and I'm sure that they've heard of this before, but this is very new to me, and I had to share it with you. And I'm beyond inspired. Edith has a fascinating life. I believe they even turned her life into a TV show in the 80s. I haven't had a chance to check that out yet, but so she is born in the late 1800s. She writes this in 1906, and then she tragically has a tragically beautiful death in 1920 as she's collecting chestnut. Oh my gosh, she's collecting buds from a tree across the Thames River, and she falls in, and but it's in a way, it's like she passed doing what she loved, which is doing these nature walks every morning. So just a fascinating story, and definitely more to check out if you're interested on her life. But for our purposes here, I'm just fascinated with the structure of this journal, and how this kind of daily practice is really different from the daily practice that I do in my life, which is much more focused on me and my emotions and the way that I process the world. This is much more about using illustration. So she draws all the pictures and she paints all the pictures, but also language to capture the beauty of nature and to capture a moment in time of her town. So I want to talk now about how can we incorporate this in our own journals, and what could this look like. So when I first read this book, my initial instinct was like, oh my goodness, I need to do this. I need to follow this. Maybe I'll get a separate notebook and kind of just keep track of my daily walks, because my husband and I and our dogs, we have nature walks every day. So maybe I could kind of copy that. And of course, my instinct is to get a new notebook and to start something fresh. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think that's one way you could incorporate this, right? So you can get a whole separate insert and every day kind of track your own discoveries in nature. Or, maybe there's a way that you can kind of just, again, smush it all into your own journal. So whether that starts at the beginning of an entry where you capture just a little bit about what's going on in your local area or what you notice about your current season that day or the weather, things like that, and then dive into your entry. I think that could be a cool way to incorporate this as well. But I haven't done this practice myself, so I don't know the benefits, but from a reader's perspective, I think that this is just a stunning way to capture and document life as it's happening, but literal life, not just like my own, my own or our own world, like the literal nature around us. So I had to share that with you today, and I'm just so excited about this possibility as a new old way to journal, and just honoring a time of old, a time that's gone by, and how that really impacts us today. I just think it's stunning, so I had to share. Thank you so much for watching, and talk to you soon.